Welcome to Samadrita Talk Show, where we share stories and discuss topics trying to make a positive impact in this world. And who knows, who might get inspired to join this journey towards the same goal. Well, today's episode, we have a guest whom you already know from my episode 2. I will not get into a detailed introduction of hers though. But let's come back to today's topic. Do you know what is celebrated globally on 19th November? Any guesses? Well, 19th November is celebrated as International Men's Day. Yes, we do have International Women's Day as well on March 8th. But mind it, these celebrations are not mirror images of each other. Instead, each of them focuses on the issues that each of the gender faces. So the theme for this year is celebrating men and boys. And of course, you would ask, why do we need to celebrate this? This is celebrated to appreciate the positive impact that men makes in this world. And of course, raising awareness of issues like men's mental health, suicide, abuse, and a lot more. And also to promote positive male role models, which I believe is the very need of the hour. But to know more about this topic, we have our guest for the second time on our show, who is a registered social worker, a psychotherapist, and owner of Mind Metaphors. And she has been operating in Ontario for almost 10 years. She's none other than Manjusha. Welcome to my show once again.
Thank you.
So it's always a pleasure to have you because you discuss or bring insights to topics that people really shy away from talking.
Thanks for having me, first of all. Yes, this is a complicated or complex topic
Right.
to discuss. Yeah. So
So we are discussing about Men's International Day. But why do you think we really need this?
why we have International Women's Day? Because we understand, we recognize it's important to celebrate women. It's the same way we need to understand what is going on around men. There are a lot of myth about men.
Yes.
There are more stereotypical views about men, that men are like this, men are tougher, men should be tougher, men shouldn't cry. So this is a way to open up the space and maybe to help the whole world to change or evolve in a positive way.
Yeah, I totally agree with her because men are often not vocal about the issues that they are facing. And of course, I'm not a believer of celebrating something just for a day. But sometimes when the issue is larger, I think we need a day to recognize that.
Of course, we need.
And that's how we remind the world, okay, something is not right. We need to work on it. So, now I would like to come to a very basic definition. Because we have different ideas of how masculinity will be defined. But for you, how does it look in today's world? What is it actually?
I would say traditionally men are they were perceived as, you have to be tough and you have to be kind of strong provider, always never show emotions. So that is number one. But nowadays the world is more of in a recognizing phase and in an evolving phase that, this is not what we supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
So now men are trying to be more vulnerable and being vulnerable is okay. And they are also we are not yet there. They are trying to embrace that, it's okay to express emotions. So that's what I feel.
Yeah, because I was just looking into the definition of masculinity. And what Google told me is somebody who is driven, muscular, and handsome is a prime example of it. It did make me feel a bit difficult to understand because I feel it's a very traditional thing that's defined. And as you said, the men are evolving and also we as a society are trying to accept that instead of criticizing that. So I think that creates a safe space for both of the genders.
Sure. Yes. It's more about the gender roles are slowly changing.
Yes.
And as I told before, traditionally, even the Western as well as the Eastern
Yeah.
cultural values, so they have different expression of masculinity,
Yeah.
right? The Western, that means American and European culture, they are more individualistic, they are more tough, they are more solo, and basically the toxicity is coming there, right? But when it comes to Eastern way of looking at men, masculinity, it's more about being a provider, family provider, and being again tough. Don't express emotions. Maybe more of a collective harmony they bring together as being a community leader. Lead the community just like that. So it's but end of the day, both cultures, it's not good to express emotions. It's always suppress emotions.
Yeah, because men are considered, should be so called strong. They cannot cry, they cannot ask for help because they have to stand tall and say, like, okay, I am there to protect everybody, which is sometimes too much of stress, even for a human being. Yeah. So you said something about toxic masculinity. So what is that? If you can just explain in very simple words.
Toxicity comes from the way how we hold on, for example, bottle up emotions, right? Especially nowadays, it's a lot going on around men when there's the culture is preaching them like, never cry, boys don't cry, men never just, men be bold,
They
be
don't ask for
strong.
help.
Yeah, don't ask for help. So that's again being vulnerable, right? Don't be weak, don't be vulnerable. So that again teach them. So and they are getting the role models from their dads or their other role models like uncles, right? So they are not able to express, so then bottle up. So and finally they are moving to the crisis phase because they are not even seeking help because they don't want to, because they will be perceived as the vulnerable one. So they don't want to face that, so they seek help when there's a crisis arises. And
And I think that toxic masculinity that we are talking about, it eventually impacts the society because there is also another energy, I would say, the feminine energy, who gets impacted because there is a lot of abuse, there is a lot of domination that comes, and sometimes the men may not have that understanding or the maturity to feel like, okay, this is not right. But maybe the way he has been brought up, it seems okay. And also is just not his female partner, but even the family encourages it because nobody has been educated like how should a man be in this current world and how can they treat each other as equals. I think that also has a huge impact as a toxic masculinity.
of course, and moreover, the cultural roots, it's also about the media.
Yes,
The media, lack of education, awareness, we are not talking about it.
Yes.
It's just like we talk about other issues like racism, why it's being discussed and why it is even more and more lesser, right? We talk about it. The more we talk about it, then the awareness we are generating and creating.
Right.
We are spreading. So.
Yeah, with this, you said like it's good, like because I see a lot of movies right now who are promoting this sort of toxicity and people are loving it. I don't know why, but yes, people are loving it. And also, like, since I'm a movie buff, I can say you, like, I have seen several topics like this, like, when movies are directed by females or when characters are written by females, they are completely different than when it is written by a man. Maybe because of the perspective of two genders, and that brings that uniqueness, that softness in a man that is required as well. I feel that's beautifully portrayed, but yeah, it's not that celebrated much, but somehow we love those men. So I know there are some viewers who will love and they'll just connect with their some childhood crush maybe.
Okay. Yeah, the new, as I told before, the evolving context, of course, the globalization has its own influence on it, but at the same time, it would help man to thrive in this world in an equitable way, right? It's more of blending with the current culture.
So I know you get a lot of patients, but since we are speaking about men today, I'll try to focus on that first. So tell us more about male patients like who suffer from loneliness, depression, and really are very hesitant to ask for help.
Yes, I have a lot walk into my therapy room, especially for the past few months since January, and due to this current economic crisis also impacted. So I would say this loneliness breed depression, right? That is one reason, and also it will lead to other issues like anxiety.
Right.
So I have people, they reported me like they don't share with their partners what is going on with their job. They're almost losing their job, but they don't talk about it because they don't feel safe. It's not a safe space because they are scared, or they are like, it's really an alarm set for them
Right.
that, no, it's not a safe place, so I should keep quiet. And they sometimes report a 4 a.m. panic attack, right? It's from anxiety, right? What would happen to me, right? If I lose the job, what could be my identity? My whole identity changes, right? So what would happen to me? So it's a lot, especially for men. For the past few months, it's more of, I would say, I have so many female clients coming in with the same issue, but I would say men are more, and even the addiction issues.
So in today's time, I see like both the partners are building home or family together. But in spite of that, like, do you think men still have an added stress to their part to provide?
They still have that because the current economic crisis and the status changes everything. It will add on to their,
Yeah.
stressors, right? So most of the time, what happens, they don't open up to their partners because of safety concern, emotional safety, right? Because they still perceive themselves as the strong man. I shouldn't be crying, I shouldn't be sad, I shouldn't be feeling weak or vulnerable. It's not okay, right? So what they would think about me, right? That I'm not weak, right? So that I would say stereotypical way of looking at men, it's still evolving, it's still not changed. So I have many patients, they walked in to the therapy room and sharing that their wives are still not aware what they are going through, right? Because they are not feeling safe to express themselves. So yeah, that is again going to the deep depression or anxiety or other diagnosis sometimes.
So is it like a lot of expectations? Like, I may not be generalizing them, but in just trying to understand, because is it like the female part is aware of it but not very supportive? Or is the person not at all aware because the man is not feeling comfortable sharing that, so that he is not devalued in that relationship? Is it something like that?
Well, they were not taught to express, never.
Yeah.
When they were a kid, the kid is crying and the mom is saying, or the aunt is saying, oh no, boys won't cry.
Yeah.
Don't cry. No, boys won't cry, but his sister can cry, basically,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
The boys can't. So they were not taught to, I would say. So the culture is still not there. So it's a time to embrace that vulnerability, and the expressions are okay.
Yeah. And I think it's just not sharing the responsibilities financially or supporting the family, it's also to support each other, because people are not the same at every time, right? Emotionally. Sometimes they are weak, but it's just putting them on a pedestal and saying you have to be strong. It's too much for a human.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Anyone,
Yeah.
for anyone, right?
Yeah. So I know, like in current times again, because it's very uncertain. So do you think that the way economic progress is happening, or the employee expectations that are coming, so how, I know you're talking about a lot of job loss that might happen, men are getting impacted, but just trying to understand, like, where is it coming from? Is it like also the economic situation which has turned right now, with every prices are going so high? Is the men getting stressed over that also? Is it an added factor?
It is definitely an added factor, but the better way to think about it is recession is part of any
Yes.
economy,
Yeah.
and it's more of building the resilience, you know, in within us, rather than looking at what is happening around us, right? So maybe working more about mental health and well-being would be
Yeah.
more helpful at this point in life. Yeah.
I think because you are not left with any options, so you have to be planning it well and be mentally strong. That's the only way to fight
The
it.
weather will change anytime.
Yeah.
So we have to be prepared. You're ready for the winter now.
Yeah.
So you have to be prepared. Yeah.
And I know in Canada, because I see a lot of addiction issues. So, do you think addiction, be it, let's say, drugs, be it alcohol, and even porn, so do you think these are some factors which are caused by it?
Certainly. So as I told before, the loneliness when they bottle it up right inside, that again breeds depression and anxiety and any other mental health issues. And on top of that, if there is any concerns like how was their childhood, if there any trauma, right? So these all will rooted to addiction. It could be alcohol, it could be cocaine, it could be anything, right? Because the purpose is to numb the feeling, right? Once they numb the feeling, they're out of their difficult or challenging time or their feelings or emotions, right? So then there's a dependency developing, and sometimes people are not even aware of it, right? So it's very hard for them to recognize. They think, oh, I am drinking and I'm high functional though. I wake up in the early morning and I'm going to work. But still, unless they work on it, they don't understand that they are addicted to the substance, right? So eventually, and that is very socially accepted culture. Men drink, right? And it's okay to smoke weed or any other substances. So it's culturally accepted, but it is not culturally accepted to, kind of see men crying, right? That is difficult for men. So it's better to cover up this way, right? Even you talked about porn addiction. So when we talk about porn addiction, it is not an official diagnosis. You don't get a diagnosis because it doesn't meet certain criteria. But as I told, just like addiction, like addiction to alcohol, as well as any other drugs, the spike of dopamine happening, right? But as I told before, it's not an official diagnosis because it doesn't meet certain criteria. But what happens with porn addiction is the craving will it increases, and then you are getting into that mode that I'm trying to, okay, I will stop here, but then again they will watch. So
It's just like any addiction,
it's like any addiction, but it's more hidden.
Yes.
And apart from alcohol addiction or any other substance addiction, shame is a factor, but with porn addiction is so lot of shame and guilt due to many factors. Maybe somebody born and brought up in a very religious family, they will be having that shame factor that, oh my God, I'm doing this.
I think even if you're not born and brought up in a very religious or orthodox family, still there is a so-called shame attached to it, and people are not comfortable speaking about it.
Most of the time it brings other issues like relationship issues, sexual dysfunction, the ejaculation issues. Then they are coming for couple therapy, but one person is not really open up about what is going on, right? Because of the shame factor. So it wouldn't help. As long as you are understanding, seeking help, there is a help available. That is a good part about it. There are so many therapists. They are specialized in, porn addiction, gambling. So it's very helpful. Many of my clients, they treat it and they feel better. And the fun factor is, mostly those therapists also, they treat depression and anxiety and loneliness. So this will lead to porn addiction.
Right. And I know you have also patients either suffering, like you were speaking about, relationship issues, even domestic abuse and sexual assault as well. So tell us more about it. Like, because when we talk about sexual assault or domestic abuse, we always associate females to it. We hardly get to hear men. So I'm
Yes.
really interested, like, if you could share what is happening in this world around men with this.
Yes, men are also assaulted, especially intimate partner violence is going on a lot, but it's underreported. Right, and it is underreported sometimes. Sometimes, even if the police take the case, they are not believing what the man says. System is not believing what the man says because it could be because of the previous history. Otherwise, the partner intentionally wanted to blame them, or
Or sometimes laws are built in a way that are in favor of a particular gender.
most of the time it's in favor of females.
Okay.
Yes. So many men, and again, this part is again coming. We are again going back to the same thing. There is no communication happening. There is no expressions there to share that what was going on between them. Right. So most of the time that is not happening. So, and they don't want to seek help, even if the female or the partner, mostly the women, they wanted to go with therapy or couple therapy. The man doesn't want it to. He's like, oh no, that's not needed. We don't need a third person here, right?
It's something like coming up on his ego.
It is an ego again. It isn't that this is the agenda that we are not weak. We don't need a therapist here, right? So that culture is still there. They are suffering in that silence. So again, once you bottle it up, it will explode one day, right? So it's the same thing happening in relationships.
Yeah. So I know, like, when we talk about domestic abuse, like we've seen a lot of examples for females, but when we talk about men, we don't get to hear. So if you can just explain to our audience, like, what exactly a domestic abuse for men look like?
Domestic abuse could be anything: psychological, wounding, labeling them. Sometimes men are perceived as, okay, fine, you are a provider, you work home, come back home, we will cook for you, and that's it. Sometimes they don't talk, there is no family time, sometimes there is no check-in happening, there is no sex life for most of the men. They suffer, they perceived as, oh, you are with the high sex drive. But men are having sex drive is not their fault. It is the biological reasons, right? So it's not their fault. So it's also bring that in humiliation that, something is wrong with us, right? So it's a kind of shaming and in humiliating factor that they sometimes they have to suppress it and they have to suffer in silence. And that also will lead to other issues, right? When there is an intimacy issue happening, then connection disconnected, there's no bonding, right? And it also helps them with their health, right? When there is a lack of intimacy and sex life, sex is a major factor, like for dopamine production.
In driving the hormones.
The testosterone is not working. It is not good enough in the body, and when you develop the bonding, touch, hug, this will release oxytocin. Basically, these are antidepressants, natural antidepressants. They're not getting, right? So it will bring a lot of issues in their mental health, right? These are all contributing factors.
So basically, when we talk about domestic abuse in men, it's not physical. It's mostly mental.
It is mostly mental. Yes, physical.
Yeah, physical.
It's happening. But
physical is happening as well.
Happening. Of course, it's happening, but it's. I mean, maybe it's underreported, but statistics shows it's less.
Do you think like there are actual good laws in Canada which can protect or actually help this sort of men who are suffering?
Canadian laws made for all genders equally. But what we have seen in reports that 70% of the reports, that means survivor reports, are like the survivors were silent. They victimized assault because of the fear and stigma around who will trust me. And again the masculinity. I am strong, I should be strong. And this all happened, and many of my patients, they are struggling with PTSD and addiction, even trauma and addiction. They have the history of sexual trauma or sexual assault at least one time in life.
So, yeah, like I know we were discussing about laws in Canada that can protect. So, you're saying there are generalized laws, but specifically when we dig into those laws, do you think like at all a protection is provided to such men, or is it just always in favor of a specific gender?
It's a very tough question to answer, to be honest, but it depends on how much support they. It's about the man to speak up, right? It's like they have to express that what was going on. Again, when the problem started, how much they addressed it, right? How much the system was aware of it, right? Maybe the beginning phases they avoided, or they don't want to deal with it.
Yes.
Maybe, those kinds of issues may come up, and sometimes it's a kind of trap.
Right.
So it's a kind of loop they are in. So they can't come out.
And do you think these laws also help like anyone, like in Canada? When I say anyone, like I mean like can anyone have an access to this and get a benefit out of it? Like let's say if it's an immigrant man or somebody who is a permanent citizen of this country. So are the laws different for each, or is it anyone can access benefits of those laws?
All laws applicable to everybody, whoever in Canada, doesn't matter their, status in Canada. But there are so many agencies also, national level as well as provincial level agencies working like Victim Services Canada. There are different regions they are working. So that is another venue to seek help if someone is struggling.
So let's say if somebody is struggling and for a long time they kept silent, maybe for their own sake or their family's sake, whatever it is. So how do they can seek help now, since you're talking about some agencies?
Sure, yeah. These are the victim services lines. It's like call them. So they will be here for service. And it's not that always women will be protected, or it's all focusing on women, but men also, they are seeking help. There are reports says that it's a very less percentage, but still men are seeking help.
So do you think there is any global model that the governments can adopt which will actually, like I'm myself as a female, so it's nothing I'm talking about or against female, but I really want that gender equality even in this case. So any global model that you can suggest, be it Canadian, be it any government, that can adopt and actually benefit?
I would say Sweden is the number one because the Nordic culture they embrace. It embraces vulnerability, emotional expression, and equity. So I think that would be the starting point for us to start or change that culture.
You were talking about Sweden. So what approaches have they taken that ensures like both the genders feel safe? If you can shed some light onto it.
Sure. So they're basically their legislation, right? Equal representation for all genders, promoting education for everybody. And as I told before, male and female, they have equal parental benefit and longer parental benefits. So it's about everything is there. They're kind of blending equally to all genders. So that would be a role model for other countries too.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful example because in paper, we have a lot of things going on, but when we put it in practice, I don't see much happening, honestly. So from a female point of view, I can definitely speak, but from male point of view, we rarely get to hear. So when we are speaking about equality, it should be equal on both the sides. It shouldn't be like, the beam balance shouldn't go down or up. It should be equal.
Equal.
Yeah.
Yes.
How can we encourage men to share their vulnerability without the fear or stigma of being judged?